Well, if there's a bright center to the universe, you're on the planet that it's farthest from.
And that would be Tatooine. As everybody knows, this is Star Wars Tatooine Manhunt for the West End Games version of Star Wars, the role-playing games. Ruthless bounty hunters and rebel agents clash in a desperate manhunt for the elusive hero of the desert world of Tatooine, plus the Star Warriors scenario. There you go. Right. This was probably one of the first modules to come out for West End Games version of Star Wars, and I have used this one numerous times. It's a great beginning module for getting people involved and getting people introduced to the mechanics and the spirit of the game. It also has a lot of replayability, so you want to have an adventure on Tatooine. This gives you a lot of background material to utilize that you don't have to go out of your way to create yourself, and there is some advantages of not creating things yourself when you're playing in a very well-known world. You don't want to get Star Wars lends itself to having lots of possible variety, but there's still a certain level of things that should not get interjected into it from in a homebrew or a home style game system mix. In my opinion, having creatures like Superman show up in Star Wars is not so much, right? Just my opinion on that. It's just like Middle Earth when you're playing Lord of the Rings. Middle Earth, the settings are pretty well established. You know, which the sort of creatures and people you're going to encounter pretty well established. There's some room for additional new stuff, just like Star Wars. There's always room for new aliens, as long as the aliens aren't from Krypton. And I have run into that, or wouldn't bring it up. I have run into that once or twice over the years. So, just saying, right? And with this particular module, we have Talon, the victor of Balamak, Talon, father of the old Republic Navy, Talon, who shaped the modern Imperial naval tactics. Statues honoring Talon stand all over the Empire except where the Emperor pulled them down. They say Talon died years ago, but they're wrong. He's still alive. The bounty on his head exceeds 50 million credits, but who offers it? The Empire wants him, but dead or alive. Bounty hunters are converging from all over the galaxy, but to protect him or hunt him. Even Jabba the Hutt is interested, but why? Now the Rebel Alliance wants him, and the word is he's on Tatooine. Guess where you're going? Right on. Now, we have the introduction, adventure materials, preparing to play, adventure background, main NPCs, some interesting notes that this is not Boba Fett. This is Jodo Kast, just so we know. Jodo Kast is a bounty hunter hired by Captain Talon of the Star Destroyer Relentless Farland to find and capture Adar Talon. Kast is ruthless and cunning, leads a group of deadly hunters that include Puggles, Trod, and Xandra, but are the best the Empire could assemble on short notice. He is I don't want to say Boba Fett wannabe, but pretty much he's a Boba Fett wannabe. He won't, of course, admit it, but he has his own stuff in there. The episode 1 of the mission begins on a space station. Said here, a long time ago, a galaxy far, far away, exterior, spacecraft in space, the Imperial Star Destroyer Relentless docks at the Quinn Space Station. Interior, Imperial Star Destroyer audience chamber. Twin bash doors slide open, revealing the dark interior of a massive chamber. An Imperial captain stands upon a high platform, flanked by lower officers. Two stormtroopers march in. They drop a manacled prisoner at the feet of Captain Parlin, commander of the warship. The charge demands Parlin. Piracy, sir, snaps the trooper. Kill the scum, Parlin replies coldly. Wait, screams the prisoner. I have something to be guarding with, information important to the Emperor in exchange for my life. Parlin's dead eye gleamed triumphantly. Go ahead, I'm all ears. Talon, it concerns Adar Talon. Parlin listens intently to the pirate's tale and issues orders. Quietly, Ensign Dana pockets the data storage pod and slips away. The commander issues one final order. Lieutenant Orr, send for the bounty hunters. Fade 2, interior Quinn Space Station. So find the script, hand out, blah, blah. The players finish the script, read the following passage out loud. There, near the rapidly closing airlock, you see Agent Dana laying at the feet of an Imperial officer. You recognize her form of the whole following ship's computer. Next to Imperial are two short, rough, dangerous-looking customers. Short, wiry female in padded armor and a tall, scaly humanoid armed with a blaster rifle. Behind them, beyond the airlock, stands a figure dressed in deadly Mandalorian battle armor. He glares at you, then the door slams shut. Now the rebels must fight the two bounty hunters and Lieutenant Bohr, the Imperial officer, and their statistics are as follows. If Bohr gets his distress call through, the entire space station goes on alert. Stormtroopers fill the corridors, been systematically searching dock ships. However, the relentless cannot provide enough stormtroopers to adequately cover every inch of the station. Rebels will have some time to get to their ship and leave. Quinn. If the Bohr places call during the battle, PCs still have four combat rounds before 6 stormtroopers arrive to back up the bounty hunters. And for every 2 rounds after that, 4 more stormtroopers arrive for a total of 18. Captured bounty hunters, checking to Agent Dana, assessing the computer, the Relentless, the rebel ship, side view of the station and the dock Star Destroyer. Leaving Quinn. Say 2, welcome to Tatooine at Map Mos Eisley. Event 1, arrival. Mos Eisley Spaceport, dealing with the traditional bribing of the customs officer. You all know how that one goes. Mos Eisley Cantina. Counters in the street. Morning rush is already underway as the exit docking bay. Humans, numerous droid models, aliens of every description move about the crowded streets, concentrating intently on their own business. Pace is hurried for such a backwatered world, and not even the blistering heat of the twin suns, not yet fully in the sky, can slow it down. Land speeders roll by, uncomfortably coasting these narrow walkways. Swarms of small, rancid-smelling creatures in hooded robes jostle past you. One stops a moment to polish your shiny blaster. This is Mos Eisley Spaceport. A more wretched hive of scum and villainy you will not find elsewhere, which is not necessarily true. I've seen some others in the Star Wars universe that are just as wretched and probably more scummy. Just my personal opinion. I have the Cantina, Jack's bounty hunter registration. Poggles Trod sits at the bounty hunters sign up office in the Cantina booth. PC's knows a crown of hunters gather around the booth. Poggles is here on behalf of Joe Cass to sign up the posse of hunters that accompany Cass into the waste. This is Castaway, keeping the bumbling and typical hunters in line and out of his way. Pay us 10 credits a day with a bonus of 100 credits once Talon is found. If they leave at first dawn, when Apache 1 rises. Regional Government House, Java Traders, General Store, Power Station, Spaceport Speeders, Java's Townhouse, Spaceport Hotel, Mos Eisley Inn, Weapon Shop, Street Corner, Preacher, Hunters everywhere. First Ulster dies. Event 3, Meeting Labria. Episode 3, Blood in the Sand. This episode, the assumption that the PCs agreed to meet Levy at the first twilight. Levy leads the Tower Ridge meeting. Slag Flats doesn't stick around long enough to leave the PCs to make their own introductions. Inside the old water storage silo in the shadow of an old subspace transmission tower. Slag's secret hoarders. But when the rebels find Slag, things are not as expected. The unforeseen greeting creates a desperate situation. The rebels discover that you can drown on the desert planet. PCs decide they don't trust the devil-faced drunk. See an alternate storyline at the end of the episode. So basically, this supposedly abandoned water silo is still loaded, and some deadly water trap. There's a picture. Big chase scenes, alternate storyline. So here's your Tatooine Adventures starting script. Dana's storage pad, Talon's history tape, Game Master's map, Talon's Fortress exterior. I got some templates for Victor Shrike the Merc, Quist the Pirate, Jungan the Outlaw, IG-72, the assassin droid. And I've seen a clip, a trailer clip of the upcoming Mandalorian series, which is of course on the Disney Channel and a cable channel I don't get, sadly. And there's a beautiful clip of an IG series droid going in action, and these guys have some really nasty backstory behind them. Jodo Krast. It's right here. Background. The cast is a young, ambitious hunter who has patterned his short career after the notorious Boba Fett, where he acquired his armor is unknown, but Kast is driven to make a name for himself. He took his job to fight Talon because it promises to earn him the reputation he feels he deserves. Puggles Trod, Zandra, Akik, and Gort. These Akik and Gort work for Jabba the Hutt, collecting protection money from local business. So after episode 4, the Cantina ambush. The summary is, by evening of day 2, the rebels should have found out the following facts: that there are lots of bounty hunters on Tatooine searching for Adar Talon. One of these hunters uses poison darts to dispatch his victims. 2 oldsters, both who may have known of Talon, were found dead with darts jutting from their necks. The next apparent victim, old Arno the Scout, is also someone whose services have been recommended to the rebels if they hope to survive out in the desert wastes. Now, as darkness spreads through the crowded Mos Eisley streets, the rebels receive a message from old Arno to meet him at the Mos Eisley Cantina, but what's waiting for them isn't the cagey old scout, it's a squadron of deadly bounty hunters. Here's something neat. A little note from mechanics. Effects of no sleep. Rebels need sleep, and that's a fact of life. After a full day's activity, everybody needs time to rest and recuperate. Once you determine when sleep becomes necessary, let everyone make a moderate stamina check every hour longer to decide they remain awake. Anyone who fails loses 1 die from every attribute and skill they get, at least until they get at least 4 hours of sleep. Even the rebels with high stamina can only push themselves so long before they suffer negative effects as well. After 3 hours, they begin to lose 1 die every 2 hours, regardless of their stamina. Waiting for rebels betrayed. Rebels grenade. Beating old Arno. Creating the mood with the Star Wars album. One neat way to make adventure even better is to use the props and create moods of set scenes. If you have the soundtrack album from Star Wars, try this gimmick during the play. Whenever the PCs enter Cantina, start the Cantina band theme. Whenever a fight breaks out, stop the song long enough to simulate the band diving for cover. When the trouble is over, the band starts playing again, although nothing happened. Start the record. I got those records. Haven't played them in decades, but I got them. Meeting old Arno. So we got episode 5, Exploring the Waste. Second dawn at day 3 brings a whole new slew of new problems and challenges for the rebels. They discover that most of the bounty hunters have set off into the desert with Jodo Kast just a few hours prior to their own departure. But with old Arno leading them, the rebel heroes have a slight advantage over Kast and his cronies. Plus, Arno has a narrowed down Talon hiding place to 3 sites. All they have to do is reach the right one first. Starting out into the waste. We have a cutaway. Exterior spacecraft in space. Imperial Star Destroyer Relentless docked at the Quinn Station. Interior. Captain Harlan stands at the command platform watching space station. The bridge viewports of the lower officer steps up towards his throat. Speak. The crews have worked through the night and all systems have been repaired, snaps the officer. In addition, navigation has calculated the optimum hyperspace route that will get us to Tatooine by tomorrow evening. Harlan's eye sparkle and his lip turns into an evil smile. Then Talon's mind order immediate departure. Fade 2, exterior, the Tatooine wastes. Into the wastes. Here there, counter 1, here there be dragons. Counter 2, Steady's Fist, Desert Mounter. Counter 3, the Oasis. Yeah, I recently read a novel called Kenobi, and he visits something called the Oasis, and I'm not sure it's the same one or not. Night Attack, Episode 6, Battle in the Desert. Summary: the second day out in the waste finally brings the rebels to their goal, but not before they get into a battle with a young girl defending what's left of her home and meet up with the Tatooine's fearsome sand people. And if all goes well, they reach the last site on Old Arno's list, Tusken Fort. Tusken Raiders, defeated bounty hunters, the sniper sneaks onto with a sniper, hunter one Link's farm, Tusken Fort. Episode 7, Slaughter at Tusken Fort. Rebels have journeyed through the waste to Tusken Canyon, a place where Talon has decided to make a stand against the Imperial agents on Tatooine. If he wins, he is pledged to then take the battle to the Galactic Core itself. And in the fortress, the PCs must battle Talon's mercs, convince the commander of their good intentions, and then defeat the deadly Jodal cast. But beware, there is a traitor in Adar's camp. Entering the fort, inside the fort, meeting Talon, bounty hunters attack. Episode 8, Escape from Tatooine. This is it, the final scene. The rebels reach the Mos Eisley with Talon, only to find that 3 more obstacles are in their way. First, they must circumvent the Imperial prefect and his stormtroopers. Then the final hunter, IG-72, makes his move. And finally, the rebels must outmaneuver Imperial TIE interceptors before the relentless arrives to cut off all escape. Cut away the... Yeah. So we got Mos Eisley in an uproar. Even though the first twilight of day 4 approaches, the rebels notice a lot of activity. The twin suns of Tatooine, the twilight sky ablaze with fire color. Even as darkness approaches, Mos Eisley is alive with activity. People are running everywhere, preparing ships, gathering belongings, paying off debts. Even the locals move quickly, securing doors and windows, transporting families and possessions to safer quarters. It appears as if a mass exodus of visitors and residents alike is imminent. The rebels of Talon and his wife, the droid, enter the spaceport where to pick up the ship and make their way through the hectic crowd. Someone they befriend is just as Tarlup calls from them nearby. The prefect and his stormtroopers are trying to secure the city as best they can, so it's a friendly local, but they can't be everywhere. Still, an Imperial Star Destroyer in the system adds a lot of weight to prefect's commands. Most of the visitors decided to obey the Imperial edict. That doesn't mean they can't be ready to leave at a moment's notice. Battle over Tatooine, roleplay, RPG Starship Combat. This is where you switch over to using the Star Warrior scenario, which is a Star Wars starfighter or small ship combat system, which it comes in a box set, which I have at some point. I will review it probably toward the end of reviewing all my Star Wars material, because it's an interesting set, and I've used it a few times to change up the stuff at the table. So there you have it. Star Wars Tatooine Manhunt. Get your blasters on, boys.